Welcome to the deep dive. Sometimes you find these ancient texts and you think, how is this still talking about my life?
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and today we're diving into one just like that. The Bhagavad Gita. It's what, over 2,400 years old?
At least. And yet, the themes, purpose, making difficult choices, figuring out what's really true, it's all incredibly modern in a way.
Totally. It doesn't give you, easy answers either.
No, not at all. It's more like a framework,
Mhm.
a way to look at the chaos and maybe find some clarity. It digs into the human condition itself.
And the setup is just so dramatic. You've got this warrior, Arjuna. He's like the best, but he's on this battlefield.
Kurukshetra.
Right, and he looks across, and who does he see? His family, his teachers, people he respects, and he's supposed to fight them.
Talk about a moral dilemma. His duty as a warrior versus his love for these people, his personal feelings.
It just freezes, crumbles, really, starts questioning everything. It reminds me of those times, maybe professionally, where you feel stuck, like every option is just bad.
We've all been there, haven't we? Maybe not a literal battlefield, but that internal conflict between what you should do and what you feel, that's universal. Arjuna's crisis is ours, just on a massive scale.
Uh-huh. And then his guide steps in, Krishna. He's driving Arjuna's chariot, but he's way more than a driver.
He's the guru, the wisdom figure. And as the text reveals, he's actually, the divine. It's God in human form offering guidance.
Initially, he tries to get Arjuna to just, do his duty, fight. But Arjuna's stuck deeper than that.
Right, the problem isn't just tactical. It requires a much deeper shift in understanding. It's like when we face our own conflicts, sometimes logic isn't enough. You need to connect to something deeper, your core values maybe.
So that's what we want to do today. Really dig into the Gita, pull out some of that wisdom that still works, even if our battlefields are mostly inside our own heads.
That's a great way to put it, the battlefield as the mind. Many interpretations see it exactly that way.
Arjuna's enemies become our own negative thoughts, our attachments.
Exactly. Anxiety, ego, greed, fear, all those inner adversaries.
Okay, so let's unpack some of the big ideas. First up, this concept of duty, or dharma.
Dharma, yes. Initially, Krishna does talk about Arjuna's specific role, his duty as a Kshatriya, a warrior, in the context of the time. There's a historical layer there about societal roles, the caste system.
Right, which we should acknowledge, but maybe not get bogged down in.
Precisely, because the Gita quickly moves beyond just societal obligation. It starts exploring duty as acting in line with your true nature, your inner truth.
Yeah.
Your svadharma.
So it's less about external rules and more about internal alignment.
Yes, aligning your actions with your deepest self, your core principles. It's a much more profound idea of duty.
Okay. Then there's this almost mind-bending idea about the world being like an illusion or temporary.
Maya, yeah, the idea that the material world, everything we perceive through our senses, is constantly changing, impermanent. Krishna stresses this.
It's like trying to grab smoke, almost.
Kind of. And understanding that, really internalizing that impermanence, can be incredibly freeing. If you know that successes and failures are just temporary waves.
You don't get so crushed by setbacks or too puffed up by wins.
Exactly. It helps you maintain perspective and inner balance. You're not constantly thrown off course by every little thing that happens. It fosters a kind of resilience.
Okay, so if the outside world is fleeting, it makes sense you need to manage your inner world. Which leads to controlling the senses and desires, right?
Absolutely crucial. There's that really strong passage, chapter 3, verses 41 to 43.
Let me see if I have it here. Yeah. Therefore, O Arjuna, controlling first the senses, slay desire, the sinful destroyer of wisdom and discrimination. It goes on to say, desire is the enemy, hard to conquer.
It's powerful language.
Yeah.
Slay the enemy. The idea is that our senses, sight, sound, taste, touch, smell, are the gateways. They pull us outwards, trigger desires.
And those desires can cloud our judgment, our wisdom.
That's the teaching. Desire, left unchecked, obscures our ability to see clearly, to make wise choices. The Gita suggests a kind of inner hierarchy. The self, the soul, is highest. Then the intellect, then the senses.
So you use your intellect, guided by your deeper self, to manage the senses.
That's the path. It's about conscious awareness, knowing what pulls you, what distracts you, and making deliberate choices instead of just reacting automatically based on desires. It's about mastery. Not suppression necessarily, but conscious direction.
Then you get these moments where Krishna just reveals his cosmic nature. It's pretty mind-blowing. Stuff like, I am the pure fragrance in earth and brightness in fire.
Or I am the father, the mother, the sustainer. from chapter 9.
Yeah, it paints this picture of the divine not being separate but woven into everything, an underlying unity.
It's a profound shift from seeing God as out there somewhere to experiencing the divine as immanent right here within us, all around us. That changes everything, really. How you see yourself, the world, your connection to it all.
And it leads directly into karma yoga, right? This unique take on action.
Yes, this is so central to the Gita. It's not about running away from life, from your responsibilities. It's the opposite.
You engage fully?
Fully. You
Yeah.
do your work, fulfill your duties, but, and this is the key, you detach yourself from the results. You renounce the fruits of your actions.
So you focus on the process, the effort, the intention, not the outcome.
Exactly. You pour yourself into the action, doing the best you can because it's the right thing to do or because it's your nature to do it, but you let go of needing a specific result. You offer the action itself.
That sounds hard. Our whole society is geared towards results, achievements.
It is hard. It requires letting go of the ego, the part of us that wants control, that defines itself by success or failure. Krishna connects this directly to remembering the divine, like chapter 8, verse 7. Therefore, at all times, remember me and fight.
Remember me and fight. So keep that divine connection, that bigger picture in mind, even while you're acting in the world.
Precisely. With your mind and understanding absorbed in me, you will surely come to me. That remembrance helps cultivate detachment from the small, ego-driven concerns about outcomes. It reframes the why behind your actions.
Okay, so act fully, but without attachment to the results. How do you do that? How do you cultivate that mindset?
Well, one major tool the Gita emphasizes is meditation.
Right, quieting the mind.
Yeah, meditation is presented as a practical technique to gain control over that restless mind and the senses that are always pulling it outwards. Chapter 5, verses 27 to 28 even describes a specific practice, focusing the gaze, steadying the breath.
But Arjuna himself pipes up and says, basically, this sounds impossible. My mind is crazy restless.
He does. He compares the mind to the wind, impossible to control. It's such a relatable moment.
Uh-huh. And Krishna's response is pretty amazing. He doesn't say, tough luck, try harder.
No, he acknowledges the difficulty, but then he offers this incredible reassurance. Chapter 6, verses 37 to 40. He says basically, no one who strives for good ever comes to a bad end. Even if you stumble, even if you don't reach the ultimate goal in this life.
The effort isn't wasted.
Never. That effort carries forward. And there's that other great line, chapter 2, verse 40. In this discipline, no effort is ever lost. Even a little practice of this saves one from great fear.
Wow. So just trying, even a little bit counts. That takes the pressure off.
Immensely. It's not about perfection. It's about consistent, sincere effort. Progress, not perfection. Every step on the path has value.
Now, you mentioned karma yoga, action, but the Gita also talks about other paths, right?
It does. Traditionally, 3 main paths are highlighted. Karma yoga, which we've discussed, the path of selfless action. Then there's Gyan yoga or jnana yoga.
The path of knowledge, wisdom.
Exactly. Understanding the nature of reality, the self, through intellectual inquiry, discrimination, and contemplation. And then there's bhakti yoga.
The path of devotion, love for the divine.
Yes. Cultivating a loving, devotional relationship with God through prayer, chanting, remembrance, service. The Gita actually presents bhakti as perhaps the most direct path in this age.
But it doesn't say it's the only way.
No, and importantly, it suggests these paths aren't mutually exclusive. They can be integrated. Acting selflessly, karma, and seeking wisdom, kyan, can naturally lead to a state of devotion, bhakti. Being a good person, thinking clearly, these can be acts of devotion in themselves.
It's like different doors into the same room.
A good analogy. It recognizes different temperaments connect differently.
Okay, this is fascinating. Now, let's try to connect some of this ancient wisdom to something very modern, like investing. It seems like a stretch, maybe.
You might think so, but actually the parallels can be quite striking. Think about karma yoga, acting without attachment to results.
Okay. How does that apply to the stock market?
Well, what drives a lot of bad investment decisions? Fear and greed, right? Reacting emotionally to market swings. Getting caught up in short-term gains or panic selling during downturns.
Definitely. You see the market dip, you panic sell, you see something shoot up, you jump in late out of FOMO, fear of missing out.
Exactly. That's being attached to the immediate results, driven by those uncontrolled senses and desires the Gita warns about. Karma yoga, applied here, would mean focusing on your process.
Like your research, your long-term strategy, diversification.
Precisely. You do your homework, you develop a sound, long-term strategy based on your goals and risk tolerance, and you execute that strategy consistently. You focus on making good decisions based on your plan, not on trying to predict or react to every daily fluctuation.
So you detach from the day-to-day noise and trust the process.
You trust the process. You accept that volatility is inherent, like the changing nature of the world Krishna describes. You control, but you can control your strategy, your discipline, and you let go of the need to control the uncontrollable market movements.
That makes sense. And what about the idea of the world being illusionary, Maya?
Well, think about market bubbles, or getting overly attached to the idea of material wealth itself. Recognizing that financial markets and even wealth are subject to change and aren't the ultimate reality can help you maintain perspective.
So don't get too caught up in the hype or the despair. Don't let your net worth define your self-worth.
Something like that. It promotes a healthier relationship with money and investing, seeing it as a tool, not the end-all be-all.
And controlling the senses, that's like managing impulsive trades.
Absolutely. Resisting the urge to constantly check your portfolio, to react to every news headline, to chase hot tips. It's about managing those emotional impulses, fear, greed, excitement, that often lead to poor financial choices. Sticking to your plan requires that inner discipline.
And remembering the divine. In an investing context, maybe that's like remembering your long-term goals, your core financial principles.
That's a great way to see it. Keeping your ultimate objectives in mind, retirement, financial security, whatever they are, provides that anchor. It's the why behind your investment strategy, helping you stay the course when things get turbulent, much like remembering Krishna helped Arjuna face his battle.
Wow. It actually fits surprisingly well.
The principles are about human psychology, decision-making under uncertainty, managing emotions. Those are relevant whether you're on a battlefield or navigating the financial markets.
Let's circle back to some of those really powerful quotes. They kind of crystallize the whole thing. We mentioned 3.4143 on desire.
And 8.78, remember me and fight.
And 2.40, that no effort is ever lost. That's so hopeful.
Incredibly encouraging. Then there's 12.8, fix your mind in me alone. That call to unwavering focus and devotion.
And I like the simplicity of 9.2627 about offering even a leaf, flower, fruit, or water with devotion. It's the intention, not the grandeur.
It emphasizes that connection is accessible to everyone, regardless of external means. It's the heart's offering that matters.
Yeah. And then those final powerful verses in chapter 18, 64 to 66, Krishna's supreme word.
Abandoning all duties, come to me alone for shelter. I will release you from all sins. Do not grieve. It's that ultimate call to surrender and trust.
Followed by Arjuna's response in 18.73, destroyed is my delusion. I have gained realization. My doubts are gone. I stand firm. I will act according to your word.
It shows the complete transformation, from confusion and despair to clarity, resolve, and readiness to act based on this higher wisdom. That's the whole arc.
So the big takeaways, it seems to be about the inner work, right? Managing your mind, your desires.
Definitely. Inner cultivation is key. The acting with purpose, doing your part, but letting go of obsessive attachment to outcomes karma yoga.
And cultivating that sense of connection, whether you call it devotion or just remembering a larger purpose. Bhakti.
Yes, and underlying it all is this reassurance that you're not alone, that there's a guiding principle, and that sincere effort is always valued.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, it really strikes me how relevant this ancient text remains. It suggests that maybe the chaos we feel out there often starts in here.
It prompts a really practical question for you listening right now. What's your current battlefield? Where in your life are you facing that kind of Arjuna-like conflict or confusion?
Yeah, maybe it's a big decision. Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's just the daily grind and trying to find meaning in it.
How could applying one of these ideas, maybe detachment from a specific outcome, maybe focusing on managing your reactions, maybe just remembering your deeper, how could that shift your perspective on that struggle?
And maybe think about one small thing you could do, like today, maybe 5 minutes of quiet reflection, or consciously choosing to focus on the doing of a task, not just the result.
Exactly. The Gita isn't just philosophy. It's a call to practice. It's an invitation to a journey, really, a journey of self-discovery and the assurance that even small steps matter.
Well, thank you for joining us on this exploration of the Bhagavad Gita. We hope it's given you some food for thought.
And if your interest is sparked, definitely consider picking up a translation yourself. It's one of those texts that reveals more each time you return to it.